Yay. Hi, Leanne. How are you?
Hi, I'm good. Thank you so much for having me.
You are so welcome. I'm so excited to bring you onto the show today for so many reasons. Obviously, your incredible experience inside the cohort, and also because you have a business. I think you're my first, I don't know anyone else who has like the type of businesses that you have. So, for those of you who are creators, and you'll hear more about this from Leanne, I think this will be really inspiring. And then, obviously, for all of us inside your business, because something I'm always talking about is how success does not need to be hard or take a long time. And everyone's like, oh, yay, that sounds great. But like, is that realistic? And I feel like I'm constantly bringing my clients to the podcast to show you that it is, and obviously sharing stories in my social media, etc. But yeah, I just thought it would be so powerful for everyone to dive into your story and your background and how you got here. So, Leanne, do you want to introduce yourself and what you do? And it's kind of fun because now you have like these two arms to your coaching business, and I think they're both really exciting.
Yeah, thank you so much. And again, I feel honored to be on your podcast because I avidly listen to it. So this is just so cool. So I'm an illustrator and animator. And before I joined the cohort, I was specifically focused on products. So I was selling my art, I was selling an affirmation deck. And I didn't really have an eye on coaching or running a program or anything like that. It just kind of unfolded slowly. And I've stepped into being a mindset and accountability coach for creatives. So very niche. And I also started another business, which was a total surprise while I was in the cohort, to serve the creatives that I work with in my day job, which is motion design. So I'm a motion designer. I work in this small corner of the world for innovation specifically. And I created a group program for motion designers for called Storytelling for Innovation. So I have two group programs going, two separate businesses. And yeah, it's just been incredible to go from like 0 to 60 in such a short amount of time. And it's been incredible.
I love it. So, could you share, because you mentioned that you were in the product space, and obviously you will not be the only one. And I think that something that really surprises people is that obviously you can become very successful in the product world, but it takes longer. It is a completely different kind of journey than the service based world. And I'm curious because, I know that you basically doubled your income from the year in your product business
Mhm.
inside of 1 month in your coaching business. And I'm like,
Yeah.
and the product business doesn't need to go away, but it just shows so much about, honestly, like the size of this coaching industry and what's available, and how many people are just ready to change their life, like in the different ways that we all help them, and like how quickly it just all gets to move.
Oh my gosh, yeah. And you're right. I think it is slower to build a product-based business. And I don't know. I'm sorry. I forgot the question.
Oh, so I was wondering, like, what step, I don't even know if I said it. Sorry. I'm recovering from a cold. What I was getting at though, is you said that like you slowly became interested in coaching. And obviously, I know you'd been a really avid listener to my podcast. And I'm wondering what made you decide to take that leap and look at it and to go all in and join the cohort, before you even really knew what it was going to mean for you.
Yes. Okay. Yeah. So my illustration and the affirmation deck, all my products are about mindset and manifestation. So through my art, I'm helping people change how they think and, manifest the things that they desire. So it's just such a natural, next step to do the coaching piece because I'm so passionate about it. I'm so passionate that I'm creating art about it. And now I get to help people do that. And my art now serves as a tool that they can use in their process. And the whole reason that my program, the first one I created in the cohort called 100 Epic Days, the whole reason that started is because I took on this 100-day project when I was making my affirmation deck, and I was posting every day my progress. And so many people reached out and said, oh my gosh, this is so inspiring. I've been watching you do this and I love the content of what you're making. And so I decided to offer it as a group program. Now, I did that before I joined the cohort as a beta test, is what I called it. I offered it for free to a bunch of people in the summer before I joined the cohort because I was so terrified of coaching and asking for money. And I got great results. Everyone loved it. I ran it through Zoom. I did these Zoom check-ins and I ran a Facebook group, and it was a 100-day project. Everyone picked their goals. So I was like stepping into it very timidly. But the thing that allowed me to say, you know what, this is something you should really be charging money for, is I randomly started listening to your podcast, Jocelyn, and I forget even why I did. I remembered you from years ago on Lacey's podcast, and I remembered your name. And I cannot honestly remember what made me search for you again, but I must have just needed you. And I remember I started listening to your podcast. It was in November, I think. And I was getting ready to launch this 100 Epic Days program by myself, knowing that I had to charge money. And I had in my head, like, okay, I'll feel okay doing this if I do a free version of it and then a paid version. And that was how I like justified asking for money with this program. And there must have just been something there that knew I needed your help, because I started listening to your podcast and you said this word, unavailable. And that just hit me so hard. I forget what you said exactly, but it was the word unavailable. You said something like, if you're unavailable for like basically not living the life you want and getting tons of money for it, was the essence of what you said. But I couldn't let that word go. And I was like, yeah, I am unavailable for that. I'm just tired of like scraping by. I do want this abundant life and I do believe in myself. So I joined the cohort, and it was like the very first week I started like diving in and making my offer, like writing it out in the way that you recommend, and, watching all the modules and stuff. And I remember it was a couple of weeks in, I posted this question when I was getting ready. I had already launched it live to people saying like, oh, this is available. There's a free version and a paid version. And I remember posting in the group, asking you a question about the free version. And you immediately said, babe, this is super confusing.
I'm like, what is happening here?
Yeah. So I immediately was challenged, and I knew in my heart it was confusing, and it was just my old money stories coming up of like why I, needed to offer this free version. And you gave me permission to email everyone after I had announced it. I'd been like promoting it. You gave me permission to change my mind. And it was like, that specific type of coaching is exactly what I needed. And that happens so many times inside the container. You're just like, you need to change, or you didn't say you need, you just said, you're allowed to change your mind. And I said, okay. So I just emailed everyone and said, I'm removing the free portion of this because I feel like I can't serve you well if it's, blah, 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 blah. And I just took it off, and I immediately felt relief, and I immediately felt in my power. And I was like, yes, this is me stepping forward and being this person. And it was just so amazing. And, the story goes on from there. I'll let you speak up, but that was really the first point that I said, wow, this is exactly what I needed.
And I love this because I feel like with a lot of my clients, it's been coming up actually with some of my private clients too in the Voxer chat. I'm like, if you don't like something or if it feels sticky now, change it. Mm-hmm. Like we have this weird, we'll create these like blind, it's not like blind faith. It's like, oh, if I said one thing, I must stick by it. Otherwise, I'm not in integrity and like this, that, and the other. And I'm
Mhm.
like, not really. You just tell the truth and tell the people why it's changing, how it's changing. And like anyone who wants to go forward can. And if not, they don't have to. Like you're not tying anyone's hands behind their back. Like it's your business, it's your rules. You do whatever the fuck you want, you know?
Right.
I
Yeah.
like I
Yeah.
had a
And
client.
nobody cares. Like
No
nobody.
one cares is the biggest thing of all that I've seen when I change something or change a date or whatever it is. Like I had a client who was all of a sudden feeling like she didn't like her early bird pricing. Like she felt like it wasn't really the true value of the container and she didn't want to keep going with it for another week. I was like, end it. Just tell them you're ending
Mhm.
it tomorrow. Who cares?
Yeah.
No one cares.
Yep. Exactly. Yeah.
And
And
if
I
they
even
do
had people,
care, hmm?
yeah, I even had people reach out to me and say, I'm so proud of you for charging for this program and removing the free option. And I was like, I can't believe you're thanking me for charging you. You know, it was really interesting. And that was the first moment where I really felt like I was becoming the businesswoman that I so aspired to be. So it's really powerful.
I love it. And also, it's true. It's like there's so many other ways that we offer like that's what our content's for. That's what our podcasts are for. That's
Right.
what our emails are for. Like there's so much else that we do for free. Working for free is not one of them, you
Mhm.
know?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And I did start a podcast while I was in your container and I love it. And yeah,
Yay.
I post free content all the time. And it's, yeah, just taking away that shame around asking for money. And as something as an artist, I think is an extra hurdle because for some reason, I don't know, I think as artists, we feel weird asking for money for some reason. I don't know why, but I feel
Well,
like,
as from what I've seen, this can just honestly be women, period. There's
mhm,
this whole belief system that was ingrained around like, oh, well, if I'm helping people, somehow it's not okay to charge money for it. And I always use the example. I'm like, well, who's more saintly than Mother Teresa? Mother Teresa was worth $20 million when she died.
mhm,
There
yeah.
are no organizations, no people, no anything making massive, massive, massive impact in the world who are not well funded because you just cannot get there otherwise. It's not going to happen.
Yeah, and I think she's actually quoted for saying the only way to change the world is through a checkbook or something like that, which
Literally.
is amazing. But going back to the product thing, you know, it really was me shaking in my boots when I, you know, launched that program as like, okay, this is a program, there's no free version. And I remember talking to you in one of our sessions and saying, you know, what if nobody signs up? And I was so nervous. I was thinking like, oh my gosh, nobody's signing up. Like it's getting close to the end of, you know, when I'm going to close the doors for this program. And I was so nervous. And you said something that really helped. You just said, you know, maybe there's a more empowering question that you could ask. Like, what if this goes better than expected? And it's just little things like that that I just needed that, and I could never have just kept marching forward in this way. There's so many points along this journey that I would have just given up or just said like, this isn't working. But being held like that is just what makes you do it. It makes you follow through. And, you know, now my life is completely different now. Can you imagine if I, you know, gave up, you know, 5 days before doors closed when literally everybody signed up and said, said like, this isn't working, you know?
Well, and it's what a lot of people do. And a lot of people are not walking this journey with the right level of support. I mean, truth be told, entrepreneurship is not a space to play alone, point, period, the end. It is not like you cannot cobble together all these free things you learned on the internet or what you read in a book or even what you listen to in podcasts. You have to invest in yourself deeply for high level support. High level support yields high level results. Like, this is how it is.
Yeah. And this was the first time I've ever spent that much money on myself. I remember having this huge conversation with my husband when I was getting ready to enroll in the cohort. I was like, oh my gosh, I know this is so much money, but I just feel like I need to do this. And it was amazing. Like he looked at your website really quickly And he was just like, I think you have to do this. He's like, this is for you. And I couldn't believe he said that, because for him, like, he's never spent that much money on himself either. And it was like this really weird energetic shift in our relationship. I feel like that we both spent this money on this and said, we're changing our lives, and like, let's just go for it. And I remember like explaining to him what you promised, and you promised consistent 10K months. And I remember saying to him, that's exactly what I want. I don't want to be freelancing anymore. I want to be doing this. I want to be running programs. I want to be doing my art. I want to have an abundant life where we have the freedom, and I said, this woman is promising me 10K months, and I don't know how that's going to happen, but I think it's worth the chance. Let's give it this 4-month chance and see what happens. And I remember thinking to myself, how is this going to work? But I just knew there was something in me that was like, it's time to take a risk. I'm also turning 40 this summer, and I feel like there's something that happens when you get close to turning 40 where you're just like, forget it. I'm just like trying this thing, and I just can't, like, with my old life, I need to change things. So yeah, it was just exactly what I needed in this moment in my life. And it was just amazing.
And I love this. And also, I've had like other men reach out to me, be like, thank you for how you're helping my wife, or thank you for how you're helping my girlfriend. I love it because obviously my message is geared towards women. Also, power of a personal brand, ladies. Her husband looked at my website and was like,
Yep.
cool, go spend the money.
Yeah.
He didn't know anything else about me.
Mm-hmm.
So that says a lot.
Yeah, it really does.
And I speak towards, my language is very much geared towards women,
Yep. Yeah.
So I love that.
Mm-hmm.
And there is this point where we have to become unavailable for anything other than exactly what we want. And obviously, you showed up for the work. You got the results because you showed up and you were super coachable. And you would receive feedback, you'd put it in motion, and then we were off. You made it like very uncomplicated for yourself.
Yeah, actually, I remember when
you were just like, okay, I'm just going to do what she says. Okay, great.
Exactly. I actually said that to myself when I signed up. I'm like, I'm just going to do exactly what Jocelyn tells me, no matter what. And some of those decisions were really scary. Like the first one I told you about with, taking away that free offer. And then there was another one that happened very soon after I joined the cohort. It was literally 2 days after I joined the cohort. This very prominent podcast reached out to me because I had randomly reached out to them for my day job for motion design. It's called the School of Motion Podcast. And they said, we would like you to be a guest on our podcast. And I remember posting in the cohort, like, oh, I don't know if I should do this because this is my old self that I'm trying to shed. Like, I don't want to be promoting my freelance day job stuff. I want to be promoting Epic Bones, my business. And you told me, or you encouraged me, you're like, any public speaking engagement is great practice, and you never know where it leads. And lo and behold, and I am like shocked to be saying this, that podcast interview, I did that interview, and then I got so many motion designers reaching out to me, telling me it was so inspiring. And people were like finding me on Instagram. There was a flood of people. And it's like I had already run through the exercise of making the 100 Epic Days program for my mindset and accountability coaching. So I'd already kind of known what to do, like how to make the sales page, how to blah, blah, blah. So I just did it again. I was like, oh my gosh, I've got to jump on this. I can help these people. So I really quickly scrapped together like this outline for a free workshop I was going to offer all these motion designers. I started capturing their emails. I started, when they were contacting me on Instagram, I said like, hey, I'm going to do this free workshop. They signed up. I did it. I got like 90 people on an email list. I made this program out of thin air because, this is my day job. I can kind of like teach it in my sleep. I remember being on a walk one day, and it was a beautiful sunny day. It was on the weekend. My husband was like watching the kids. And I made the outline for this program in the notes app on my phone. I wrote it all out, and it was just like divinely given to me. And I said, okay, I'm going to offer this program. And, I'm going to expect that at least 10 people sign up. And I got 11 people to sign up. I just closed out that program. People loved it. And now I've already launched the second round. And I cannot believe that I'm saying that. I've already created this like second business off of just like this intuitive calling to say yes to this podcast interview that I almost said no to. But because you said like, hey, you just never know where this is going to go. Now, all of a sudden, I'm super excited about this business over here that I wasn't even expecting on building. So it's really crazy. Like you just don't know what's going to happen until you just start, walking the walk.
Well, and this is the power of being led by someone who's walked before you, where
Mm-hmm.
it's not confusing to me. You know what I mean? And also my intuitive connection with my clients, et cetera. But it's like, I've done this enough where it's like, I see that, like, how things will actually support us or not, because I've done it before.
Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
I've helped a
And
lot of other people do it too. So I
mhm.
cannot even imagine a world of having this business without high level support. I mean, it's insane. And I'm very coachable also, and also always get great results. And obviously, it's never to like take someone's power away. I'm like, you guys always do what's in alignment for you, but like,
Hey,
let's consider these things.
yeah, exactly. It's like, have you thought about this? And it helps someone who's, coming up against resistance for whatever reason, ask themselves a different question. And if you don't have that person in your corner, you're most likely going to give in to that inner critic and find all the evidence as to why it's not a good idea or, why it's not going to work, and then walk away. And that's exactly what I would have done if I wasn't in this program. If I wasn't in the cohort, I would have probably said no, because I didn't want any more freelance clients. And I was scared if I did this podcast interview, I would get more people asking me to do these freelance gigs that I was trying to stop doing.
Yeah. And
And so,
instead, you just made money off your
exactly.
business.
Yeah, instead I had my first 13K month, which, oh my gosh, I never would have thought that was possible 4 months ago.
I mean, isn't it wild how fast it was? 'Cause I think your first program, it was your first like 7 or 8K month, right?
Yeah, it was $6,350. I have it written down.
I love it. And then you turned around and launched the new program. And then there was your first 13K month. And even that first month, I remember how excited you were because you had done about 7,000 in your product business last year, all year. And here you were
Exactly.
doing it in a month.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, that first program, first of all, once I got my first person to enroll, I was out of my mind. It felt absolutely incredible because literally a second before it felt impossible. And once that first person signs up, you're just like, this is working. This is happening. This is amazing. And I was just like dancing around, and, I got a couple more people to sign up. It wasn't that many. I had like 3 paying people, and I made, $6,000. So now I'm excited to launch it again this summer. And, now I'm gonna call in more people and see what I can do there. But yeah, my whole year last year, I made $7,000 from my product-based business. And now I turn around and launch like one program and make almost that amount of money in 1 month.
And
And
then
and
you
now
just
it's
followed
yeah,
it up with everything you learned the first time, following the intuitive pulls, questioning yourself less. Now you know how to sell. Now you know how to do the sales page. Now you know how to market. Now you know how to do all
yep,
the things. And then you had a 13K month right on the tail end of it.
yep,
You more
exactly.
than doubled it.
Yeah, yeah, because it just becomes normal once you run that strategy. You're just like, okay, these are the things you do. That's why I had so much confidence and was able to put that second program together so quickly, because I had literally just done it. And I was like, oh, I just do it the same exact way, just like for a different program. And I threw it together. I didn't even know what I was going to be teaching. And then
Well,
I
you
turned
always
around.
heard me talk about that too. Remember how I would always say, like, you don't
Yeah,
need to know all these details?
exactly. Yeah. And my website wasn't perfect, and I just decided, I'm going to lean into my strengths. I know that people are not going to sign up for this because of the way my website looks. They're going to enroll because of like what I'm putting out in my Instagram stories and what I'm writing in my emails. And it was just like, what do you have now that's working? Just jump on that. And that's what I did. Like, I didn't stress myself out about like, oh, I should get someone to like quickly rebrand my website. Like, I didn't have time for
No,
that. I was just like, no,
no.
I need to just do this and see what happens. And I'm so glad I didn't wait, because I could have very easily waited. And actually the reason that I didn't wait, and this is really important, is because I was looking at the calendar and I was like, okay, I just had my first 6K month in, what was it, February. I was like, okay, how am I making money in March? Like, if I truly want to stop my freelance gigs, like, where's the portal to receive money in March? I don't have anything. So that was another reason why I decided to launch this second program, because I was like, I don't have any programs of it. I need to receive money. How am I going to get it? And I don't want to get it through my freelance gigs. And actually, a freelance proposal fell through. So I was like, oh geez, I really have to make money, because my husband had stopped working like 6 months prior, because we were trying to see like if I could make this business happen. So I'm the one that's solely responsible for our family's finances. So that was another reason I was like, I need to be putting stuff out there. Otherwise, money is not going to flow through me to me. So that's another reason. It's like, if you really want to do this, you've got to put stuff out there. You can't hesitate.
I mean, no selling, no business.
Yeah. And it was incredible how easy it was. And it felt so normal because I had just done it.
Yeah, and I'll give you a lot of credit because you really showed up to our classes. You really asked every question that was on your heart. Like, you showed up for this.
Yeah. And that's another thing I wanted to say. And I hope I can be an expander for other moms out there, because
Oh, and I
I
love
have,
this too because moms love to say how they can't do it. I'm like, I've had so many clients who are moms who go on to
yeah.
be wildly successful.
Exactly. And, that was a big part, again, of my hesitation for joining this program, is like, how am I going to do this? I have a 7-year-old and a now 22-month-old, and, the baby's still up at night sometimes. And I've got my day job and I've got this, crazy life. And I'm like, how am I going to put the time in? And I think a lot of us moms, we throw our hands up in the air and say, I don't have time. But it's really not about time. It's like, you're not really saying, I don't have time. What you're really saying is, I'm not willing to find another way. I'm not willing to ask for help. I'm not willing to do this like kind of so, maybe not perfect. And the way that I did this program was not like the other women. I couldn't attend live to all the sessions. I had
Well, and
to,
no one goes to all of them.
yeah,
It's not
exactly.
required. It's like the way it's set up is like plug in when you desire to, and we give you a lot of options to do so.
Yeah. Yeah. And all the modules, the like pre-recorded stuff, I listened to those as if they were podcasts. I couldn't just sit there and watch them. I had my AirPods on while I was doing other stuff, like taking care of my kids and folding laundry, washing dishes. Like, I had to do it while I was multitasking. And often I had to re-listen to those 3 times, and that's okay, because I still receive the information. I remember going through the Facebook group and watching almost every single open class with Jocelyn. I scrolled back like years. I scrolled back
Wow.
and listened to every single one. And I just let all that learning, just like through osmosis, just like wash over me. And that's how I learned and received. And it's not ideal. I would have really liked to have been able to have like 2 dedicated hours where I like sit at my desk and I have a notebook and I'm taking notes and blah, blah, blah. And with the healing classes, like sometimes I was listening to those replays while I was doing other stuff. And that's not ideal. Like ideally you would have like alone time and you'd be like doing the movements she's recommending and all that stuff. But sometimes I was just listening to it, but I still got benefit from it. And I think to all the moms out there who are saying like, oh, I don't have time for this, I just like to give you permission and say, it's okay if you just do it your way. And it's okay if it doesn't look like the way other people are going to do this program.
And realistically, I mean, a lot of people tell themselves this story. I don't have kids. I learned through osmosis. I never, hand on heart, I never just sit down and watch something. I'm always doing something else. I put it on in the background of my life, do whatever I'm doing, and then I just trust the osmosis. That's literally what I do. And then I like go ask a question if I have a question, not even necessarily from the program, but just like then if I'm in my business or something comes up and then I have a question, like this is literally how I learn and that's it.
Yeah. But I think the other piece to this that like some of the busy people for whatever reason might also say like, oh, I can't do it, is because it's like, okay, you have to learn, but you also have to do the things.
Well, of course.
So for me, like that really looked like writing down like breaking every possible thing down into tiny, tiny, tiny tasks. Like it was literally like a to-do list that was so detailed, like change your link tree to say early bird at this date, go into Buzzsprout, which is my podcast platform, and change the background color from blue to black. Like it was so detailed because my brain was so overwhelmed with all the other things in my life that every day I would just have this detailed to-do list and say like, okay, this is how I'm going to get closer to this program being live, or this is how I'm going to get closer to, whatever I was working on that week. And, it's stuff like that. It's just like find a way that works for you so that you can change your life.
And I love this because I always say, if you did one thing for your business 365 days, imagine where you would be.
Yeah. And I'm living proof of that.
We create these stories. And of course, like we go through these like spurts where we just have like all this energy and we get a ton of stuff done. But a lot of the time it doesn't look like that. It's like, let me just make sure these 1 or 2 things get done today. Okay, cool. And then I put stuff on social media and maybe send an email. Okay, bye.
Right.
Like, honestly, that's how it happens.
Yeah. And sometimes it doesn't seem like enough, but then you look back and say, oh my gosh, I launched a podcast this week, or, like stuff like that. It all builds up and becomes what you're becoming.
I love it because you know how my whole thing is let it be easy.
Yeah.
And also you learned what to focus on. A lot of times people are spinning their wheels and you didn't waste time spinning your wheels, doing all these things you don't need to do.
It's true. And I think, you can easily get hung up on, like, how am I going to get more Instagram followers, or
oh my God, don't
stuff
get me
like
started
that,
on
right?
that.
Yeah. But it's really like, no, how am I going to receive money this month?
Literally, like right now.
Yeah. And I only need, like 10 people. So who are those 10 people? I remember for the second program that I launched, the Storytelling for Innovation program, the one for the motion designers.
Yeah.
I remember looking at my Instagram because I was promoting that through my other Instagram account. I had 700 followers on there. They were all followers from like random stuff, except for these, 30 to 40 people that found me through that, being that podcast guest. And I remember hesitating, thinking like, oh, should I really, implement that Instagram stories strategy where I'm promoting this program on here, because not everyone knows that I'm doing this. And there was like a lot of fear around that.
Yeah.
And I said, no, I'm doing it because there's going to be 4 people on here that are going to be watching this, and my ideal, client for this specific program. And I need those 4 people to sign up. So yes, I'm doing the whole Instagram stories thing. And I did. And those people joined. And then the other people joined because of the emails that I was sending, and it's just, you have to do it. You have to do the work, and you have to just step through that fear wall and just say, I don't need that many people. I need the people that are ready to receive the gift that I'm offering, and do it.
I mean, this is it's that easy. I mean, look at my business and what I've built with about 3,000 Instagram followers. All the other women I know at the income level I'm at have like 20,000 followers. It
Right.
doesn't matter.
Yep. It doesn't matter.
Are we open for growth? 100%. But I never, it was like truly something. And it was interesting for me when I started my business because people would worry about that. And I never worried about it or thought about it. Like literally did not even cross my mind.
Yeah.
I was
Yeah.
like,
And
I'm going to show up. I'm going to build my community on Facebook because that's in alignment with me. I know what I'm doing. People get good results. This is what's happening. Like the end. Keep going.
right. Yeah. And I had, hesitation around it as well, because on that Instagram account, it was all like pictures of my kids. And then
Who
I like
cares?
very quickly posted like a couple images that would hint that I was doing this storytelling for innovation program for motion designers, so that they
Yeah.
wouldn't feel like they were in the wrong place. But I had a lot of fear around like, I'm not going to be perceived as an expert because I don't have all this content populated. And there was all these stories around me being an expert and offering this program. But I really like came back to myself and said, people were responding to that podcast interview because they were inspired by what I said. And I'm doing something that they aspire to do. And I'm 3 steps ahead of where they would like to be. And thus, I am an expert. Like I have something to teach. And no, I'm not the best at what I do, but that's okay because I can be the bridge between them getting to where they are to my point. And then when they're ready to go beyond that, they'll find someone else, and that's okay. But I have a place here and I need to step forward if I'm feeling called to do it. And I'm so glad that I listened to that.
And it's that easy. It's like we're always supporting people who, in some way, no matter whether it's financially, creatively, emotionally, whatever it is, or some combination, they're just a few steps behind us, And it's like
Mhm.
you're a master at the level that you're at, period. And we create these stories because it's like we're literally thinking of someone who's been in the game like 10 years longer and being like, she's the real master. I'm like,
Right.
first of all, can we stop pedestaling people, drop the guru culture? There's a lot of us on the planet for a reason. And like also, people need specific people's medicine. So I remember something that you said when you were celebrating your 13K month in the Facebook group. You were like, there's a lot of places to learn business, and I really needed to learn it from you.
Yes. Oh my gosh. I so feel that because yeah, think about how many business coaches there
I
are
mean,
out there.
literally.
But
Yeah.
I couldn't have heard it from anyone else. I needed to hear it from you. There's just something about you. And it's so funny because, you talk about like triggering people. And I do remember in the beginning, because I'm a fire sign and I'm a Leo. And I remember when
Yeah.
I started listening to your podcast, I felt like this like lion energy coming out that was like, I don't know, there was just something that was pushing back against your energy. But I needed that challenge. I think I needed your kind of like tough love and honest, just like, this is what it is. Like, I'm sorry, the end. Like, I needed
I
that.
mean, literally. That, yeah.
I couldn't have done this with someone that was like more gentle or like, yeah, whatever you think is right. It's like, no, I needed someone to say, like, here's what you do. This is not a good idea. This would be better. Like, I just had to hear it from you. And I just, I
I
just
love
love,
direct coaching. I'm like, I
yeah.
don't need to be coddled. Just tell me what's going on.
Right. Like, I just want the results, and you got them
Literally.
for me.
Oh, you got them for yourself. But
Yeah, we got that. Yeah. I
and I
needed you to help me.
care. And like obviously I'm compassionate and I know that we're human, but it's like, what did you come here for?
Yeah. Well, that's another thing that I really like about you and the way the way that you present your brand. There's something, it's so subtle. There's things that you say, like you call us babe and queen. And there's something so nurturing about being called that. And it's like, there's nowhere else in my life, in my inner circle, where anyone else calls me that. Like, who else calls me
Oh,
queen, you know? And it's just like in this very vulnerable place of building a business and trying all these new things, to be held in that kind of like nurturing mother role where you're just like, oh, babe, like queen. But then also to have the side that's like the more blunt, like tough love, honest opinion. It's just like, it was just right for me and what I needed. So I love it.
oh, I love that. Thank you. And really, I'm just being myself.
Yeah,
That's like, that's all that's
exactly.
happening.
Yeah. Well, I think I just love who you are, and that's just it.
Thank you. And this is so great for all of us because I love talking about this concept of just getting paid to be yourself. And I'm like, you actually just need to be yourself.
Right. Yeah.
It's a real thing.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think that's so true because I think just being in your energy, it's almost sometimes like it doesn't even matter what you're saying. Again, like what you say with your voice, there's just being like continually fed that conviction and and something about just like, yeah, the way you speak, I'm just like, yes, I can do this. I believe in myself. This is available to me. That's there when you speak, and I think that's you just being you, and it just lifts everybody up.
Well, and this is what the power of coaching, right? Like ideally your coach like gives you that level of conviction in yourself because
Mhm.
behind all the strategies, all the things, yada, 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 like what we're ultimately creating is this like very high level, powerful belief system. And
Mhm.
when you actually have that, like all the things you're saying, where you're like, no, I can do it. I'm going to have this. I'm unavailable for my life to look like this. I can support my family. I want to. I'm going to. It's happening. The end. When you really feel that way, that's what you get out of life.
Right.
It's like
Exactly.
it sounds simple because it is simple. It's just that sometimes the journey to arrive there feels a little complex because we do largely need to be led into it.
Right. Yeah. And I'm coming out the other side now saying like I am in the process of doing this. This is me doing this right now. Whereas before when I started, I was thinking, how is this even possible? So in just 4 months, just to have that transformation of like, yep, here I am doing the thing. It's just incredible.
Yay, I love it, Leanne. So, can you share then? Is there anything going on in your world in case anyone's interested in your work?
Yes, I would love to. So I know it's kind of confusing, my two businesses, but Epic Bones, if you go to epicbones.com, that's my mindset and manifestation art where I have an affirmation deck. And I also run a program called 100 Epic Days. And I have the next round coming up this summer. I'm going to be running that again in July. Right now, we're currently in the middle of one of our rounds. So you can check that out at epicbones.com. And then for my motion design people, if there's any animators or illustrators, professional illustrators out there, at storytellingforinnovation.com, you can check out my program, Storytelling for Innovation Accelerator, which I'm currently launching, and it is starting in mid-May. And that's where I help motion designers kind of pivot and adapt their workflow to serve human-centered design projects in the innovation industry. So that's at storytellingforinnovation.com.
Thank you. And I'll include your links in episode notes as well to make it easy to find you.
Thank you.
Of course. And is there anything else that you would share with anyone who's been thinking about joining the cohort, who's on the fence, or who has not made their move yet?
Oh my gosh. I would just say if you are feeling the calling, just I'm sitting here 4 months, 4 months transformation from zero, from when I started to not knowing how this was going to happen to now sitting here confidently launching programs and consistently making over 10K months. Like that's crazy. So if you're ready to do this, don't hesitate. Just trust that it's going to work and see what happens. Jump in there. What's the worst that could happen? That you learn something, like it's time to start following our intuition and just giving ourselves a chance.
Totally. I'm like, and if you show up for you, you get the results. I mean, it's literally that simple.
Right. Exactly.
Yum. Okay. Well, thank you so much for your time today. I can't wait to share this episode. I know that it's going to be helpful for so many women. So I'm really excited to get it out in the world. And it's just such a pleasure to be on this side of the conversation with you. I totally still remember when you were jumping into the container, and it's just so fun to be here now. And, in such a short amount of time too.
Oh, thank you so much, Jocelyn. You have literally changed my life and my family's life forever now. So I'm just so grateful for you. And thanks so much for having me on.
Of course. Have a good day.
You too. Bye.